Strolling.
What is today? Today's the 9th. Monday the 9th.
It is Monday the 9th of November. Cold day here.
No,
so,
it's not. It's 70 degrees.
Okay, 70
Just
degrees.
an old man.
So today we're going to talk about the things that you should be thinking about when you're going to buy a dog from somebody. So we haven't done just, I think, a video just on that. So that's what this is about. We've talked about it many times. I've had a few questions about that here recently. So we haven't, Tammy and I haven't even talked about this ahead of time. We never do. We just turn a silly camera on, here we go. So it's not going to be particularly structured.
It's raw material.
It is pretty raw, exactly. Right.
It's live.
It's live. Okay, so, right, so, I mean, the first thing is that when you obviously you're going to go do a search for the puppy that you're looking for. So I think, first off, you've got to think about what you want in a puppy. You know, is this going to be a pet? Is this going to be a dog that you're eventually going to have puppies from? Because I think that makes a difference, doesn't it? You know, if I would say that if you're looking for a pet, should you get a boy or a girl? What do you think, Tammy?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question because boys are big Romeos.
Yes.
They're just so. I'm not saying girls aren't loving and affectionate because girls are, but boys just seem to be.
Yeah, in Frenchies, I mean, exactly. So in Frenchies, people.
I've had Labradors, and Labradors, the males there for one thing. You know, the females are all lovey-dovey and,
yes.
You know, so
but
not all of them, but...
The Frenchie boys are pretty sweet, aren't they?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So, look, if you're going to get a pet, get it spayed. You don't want to have a male dog that's going to be peeing all over the place. Get them spayed. Female as well. If you're going to have them as a pet, and you're sure that you're not going to have puppies, get them spayed.
And that's good potty training, too.
Yes, and that's definitely...
And there's a belly band that you can put on boys to keep them from having an accident in the house, too.
So now you're talking about having a stud dog in the house.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not
a stud dog, a male.
Well,
because we're talking about somebody wanting a pet, remember?
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. All right, so I think the point here is, look, you could spend a lot of money on extra colours that you can't see. So that's called a genotype, as opposed to a phenotype, physically what you see. There's not a lot of point paying for a lot of extra colours if you're not going to breed the dog, because you never see them. So an example would be a platinum dog. So a platinum dog is a cream dog that's blue and is chocolate. And it's a lot more expensive dog than a cream dog.
It's a lilac covered in cream.
It's a lilac covered in cream. So look, if you just get it as a pet, I don't think there's a lot of point really buying a platinum unless you just sold on the fact that you want to have something that nobody else has got.
Their pigment's different, but
little bit, but I mean, the point here is that a platinum dog is probably going to cost you 3 times or 4 times the price.
And it can be bragging rights too.
Well, yeah, we don't want to stop people from doing what they want to do, but my point here is
we all like bragging rights.
I got a beautiful wife.
Don't make me laugh. I'm trying to drive.
My trophy wife.
Whatever. You're just waiting for me to say my trophy husband, but I'm not going to say
that. Yeah, I don't want to say that.
His head's too big already.
Rather than bobble dog. One of those bobble dog. Anyway, so I think the first thing that you've got to establish, what are you looking for? You're going to get a boy or a girl, and then what are you getting for this dog for breeding purposes, or is this dog just going to be a pet? Because there's a difference in terms of what you're going to pay for things like colour. So here's the next thing I would say is if you specifically, I think we're going to start talking about buying a dog with the possibility that you might breed that dog. Structure. It's like location. Confirmation. So look, you can breed colour in, but it's hard to breed out structure. So if you've got a dog that doesn't look right,
colour is just the cherry on top.
Yes, I mean, but the point here is buy a Frenchie puppy that looks good. It's hard to evaluate a puppy when it's just born. I mean, Tammy's pretty good at it. The more you see these dogs, the better you are at it. But generally, as they grow up and they get to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks old, you have a much better idea. So look, structure. So how do you evaluate the structure? We've got a video on structure on puppies, and you can go look at that.
Well, and too, everybody's eye appeal's different too.
But not too much as far as structure, though, is it?
Right.
Well, I mean, but you're right about that. I mean, you've got people like a lot of people on the West Coast are looking for these bully-like Frenchies.
Yeah.
They're a lot heavier, bigger dogs, more of a bulldog look to them. That's not what we go for. So again, that is definitely eye appeal. So I can tell you what we like. Tammy, tell us what you like.
I like short and cobby. I like nice-looking little turkey legs. I like pretty little tight feet.
When she says tight feet, not splayed out, small feet. Yep.
Yeah, real
Yep.
nice. And I love to watch them travel.
We'll get on with that in a moment.
I
Let's keep on
always
talking about
ask
structure.
about side view pics of the body of the puppy that I'm looking for, because I know what I'm looking for.
So keep
in
on
the
going with that
body.
structure part.
Because you can see the flat face, the square top head, you can see their ears, how you want their ears. Some people like the big ears, but you know, the small teddy bear ears are nice too.
Yes.
And then you want a straight on shot so you can see how that puppy looks at you, see how wide the muzzle is, how
Yes.
long the neck is, you know,
So
how
let's-
weak in the back hips are.
So let's talk about these things individually then. So we're looking for a dog that's in the, a lower end would be 14, 15 pounds, a very small dog.
I don't like a dog with a tail that sticks up in the air
Okay,
like
tail.
this.
So a 22 pound,
Down.
23 pound dog, fully grown is the
Those
other
are your
end.
pet ones.
The other end. Yeah. So let's talk about these things. So
But
Tammy
not all
mentioned
of them have that when
she
you've
mentioned
got
teddy bear ears. She does,
Say that
and
5
we
times
don't
real
want to see
fast.
huge ears up here like this. You'll see some like this. They're really big ears, like a jackrabbit. Not what we like. Some people like that because Frenchies are known for the bad ears, but we like to see more of a smaller teddy bear, more of a rounded, smaller ear. Okay, so that's the ears.
Yeah.
The face. We want to see a face that is pretty smushed up.
But the ears are preference.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They,
Somebody's opinion.
yeah. We want to see a face that's pretty smushed up, and with that, the problems that can be
You want
associated.
to make sure their teeth are,
Yes.
French bulldogs do have a little underbite,
But you don't want to see it in a puppy when it's 3 weeks old.
Yeah,
So get them to get the teeth apart and get a side-on view and make sure the teeth,
connect. Top
they're like
and
this.
lower.
Don't want a dog with the bottom jaw teeth that you can put your finger in there. And you do see that. You do not want that, and this is not in our opinion anyway.
Yeah.
So with a smushed up face, you are going to have more tighter nares. I mean, you are going to have to sacrifice a little bit for a smaller nair probably on a dog like that. But you want to see that, you don't want to see nares that are completely closed up like this, or a dog that's wheezing. All right.
Yeah.
So the head, nice big head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice big head. That's what we want to see. Big head, like me. Big
Wide
head.
muzzle.
Yes. Right. How much of a neck?
Not too long.
Not too
where
much.
It looks like a giraffe.
Right. Not much neck. The neck needs to look like it's almost connected.
I'm being a little sarcastic.
Yeah, but you don't want to see much neck.
Nice, make the body well proportioned
Yes.
with the puppy. The size
Shorter
of the
back.
puppy.
We don't
Yeah.
want a long back. We want a shorter back. We don't want a long tail. We want a little
Now that's
bit.
us.
Well, this
That's
is what we're
us.
talking about. So
Yeah.
it's fair
Yeah.
enough. A little bitty tail, not a gay tail that you sits up there and looks like that. Not that much tail. That's much too much tail. We want a tail that is like that. Little bitty tail there, not much tail at all. And sometimes it's seen.
The tail I'm talking about is where it sticks up in the air when they're running
Yeah,
around.
right.
It's cute, but for breeding purposes, you want to see the tail down.
Right. So, big chest,
Oh,
nice turkey back end with a nice
yeah.
butt on it.
That means turkey legs.
Yep. Short back, shorter legs. So that's
Nice little bully puppies.
So now the next thing to do is to watch the puppy.
You don't want one that looks like a Boston Terrier's body.
Right, there you go.
Where they're narrow
exactly.
and thin boned and
Yes.
little bitty head.
Right,
and,
exactly.
You don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing to do is, if you're looking to buy
Nothing against Boston Terriers.
No,
You just
no.
want your French Bulldog to represent
this
the
is a
French
Boston.
Bulldog.
It's a bulldog, not a Boston Terrier. Right.
Right.
So if you can't look at the dog in person, you're buying it over the phone. So the next thing is
FaceTime.
absolutely FaceTime. FaceTime because you know the dog physically exists in their possession.
Right.
FaceTime because you can see the dog traveling. When we say traveling, we mean walking. And one of the best pictures you can get is a dog that's traveling, walking towards you, running away from you. What you're looking for is, you don't want to see flying elbows, and you don't want to see knees that are kicked out like it's a
So
cowboy.
it could be loose knees if the back legs
Yep.
are sticking out.
Yes.
And the elbows in the front, something's not right with the joints.
Right. Should be nice and straight. The front leg should be nice and straight.
Yeah.
And the back leg should be pretty straight too. I mean, they may move out a little bit, but you don't want to see legs that are kicking out the back.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you want to, you don't want to see wild swings. I mean, it should look. Go look at some dogs, and you'll get the idea about what they should look like. All right. Okay. So that's structure. So now let's talk about colour.
Yep.
This is where you pay the bucks, folks.
DNA.
Yeah, this is where you pay some bucks for this. So why do you want to get more colour in a dog? Because you'll get more colour in the puppies. So you're going to pay considerably more for DNA, and so be prepared to get your checkbook out. So, look, you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money. You can breed that in, but it's going to take you a year and a half to get to that point. So it just depends on, you know, how much you want to spend and how long you want to get there. I'll give you an example. For instance, let's say that you wanted a lilac and tan Merle Fluffy, platinum Merle Fluffy. How much are you going to spend for that?
That's icing on the cake.
How much are you going to pay for that?
A lot.
A lot. I mean, I think you're going to pay $60,000 to over $100,000 for that dog. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's how much these dogs are. So look,
whatever you want out of the deal, you know. So
yeah, I mean, if
pay attention to that structure.
Look, if you go buy a dog like that, and you're in the business to have puppies from it, then you know obviously those are going to be very expensive puppies, and you know you will get to point B if that's your goal quicker. But if your goal is to have a family dog and maybe do a little bit of breeding, then obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense. At least not for most people anyway.
It's nice to pat yourself on the back if you produce that.
Oh heck yes! I mean,
yeah.
No, I mean you can start off with a fawn dog and breed that back to a fluffy with one of our fluffies, for instance, and get fluffy carriers that carry blue, chocolate, cream, and tan points in the first generation.
Yeah.
Breed those back to another fluffy and potentially produce platinum fluffies.
Bingo.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get very many of them, but you could do it. It's not like it couldn't be done. So you could go buy a dog for a few $1,000s, breed it to a really nice fluffy, which we have a couple, and produce dogs that are in that, you know, $35,000-$40,000 range. It's not impossible at all.
But if you got the bucks to go ahead and spend for big, do it.
Yeah. So you've got to know a little bit about colour here. So let's just talk a little bit about price of dogs and their colours. So
it's all over the place.
Well, it is. I know it is.
You can't.
But we can give you a hierarchy. I don't want to tell you that this is the price you're always going to pay, because you're not.
No,
because
it's all over the place.
Yeah, it depends on the breeder, where
That's
they
why
live.
you do your homework.
Yeah, but okay. So what's the least expensive dog to buy?
I wouldn't want you to even name a price.
Well,
because
okay, but what's the least expensive dog to buy? Let's give these people some idea. They've got no idea. They want a little help on this. What's the least expensive dog to buy?
You're asking for a real long
She's not gonna answer
video
it.
on colors.
So
I'm not.
Okay,
It's
Brindle.
crazy.
There it is. Straight Brindle Dog.
James.
Okay.
I wouldn't even go there.
Well, I'm just going to give you. I'm just going to give you approximations. So the least expensive dog that you can buy is a Brindle Dog. Most of the time, there's nothing wrong with Brindle dogs. You see a lot of them in the show ring. And some of those dogs do fantastically well.
Your foundation's from the Brindle.
Well, some of them, yeah. So what's a Brindle dog? Typically, a Brindle dog is something between $1,000 and $2,500. So $1,000 to $2,500. If it's got other hidden colours, it could be more than that. Okay, what's the next colour up from that? Well, it's going to be creams and fawns, and they can either be pieds or not pied. So a pied is a dog that's got a white base with a cut with basic splotches of colour on top of it. That's a pied. So a fawn pied, Brindle pied, straight fawn, straight cream dog. Our price is typically, you're talking dogs that are in that $3,000 to $4,000 range, right? You're going to find them for more than that with more colours in them, and you're going to find them for less than that. But that gives you an idea. Then after that, you've got chocolates and blues. So they're typically, it used to be the blues are a bit more than chocolates. I think it's turned around now a little bit. I think there's not that many chocolates out there because of that.
I'm not listening to you.
Okay. Chocolates and blues. So chocolates and blues, they're typically $45,000 to $5,000 dogs, maybe a bit more.
Gosh, you're way off.
And then if you put
James is way off.
If you put 10, well, she's saying they're going to be higher. But if you put 10 points with those, the price goes up. If you put other colours, for instance, an example would be a blue dog a blue and tan dog that carries cream is going to be substantially more money than a straight blue dog. So now you're pushing that $8,000, $9,000 mark. And again, structure. I mean, our dogs are going to go for the higher end of these prices. Okay, so after that, now we've got lilacs. So a lilac dog is both a blue dog and a chocolate dog combined, and there's two versions of this lilac. There's what's called cocoa, which used to be called Untestable chocolate. That dog is less expensive than an Isabella. An Isabella is testable chocolate. So testable chocolate and blue is an Isabella. That dog's going to cost you more money than just a straight lilac. Platinums. Next branch up from that is a platinum. A platinum dog is a lilac dog covered in cream. And then after that we get into Merles. So Merle version of these add a few $1,000s to all these prices. And then after that we get into fluffies. So then the fluffy carrier dogs these days are, what's a low end on fluffy carrier? 12 grand. And then they can go up to probably...
Well, it depends what the DNA is.
Yeah, exactly. But low end's probably 12, and the higher end on fluffies carriers is probably 20 plus. And then you get to full fluffies, and full fluffies got 2 copies of Fluffy G. Those dogs are, you know, I think you're hard pressed to find much less than 20,000, and they go all the way up to crazy numbers. I mean, some of these dogs are going for $150,000. So there's the colours for you. All right. Now let's talk about...
That's why James got me so cheap. He thought he was getting a great bargain.
Yes. Boy, was I wrong.
My DNA was...
Yeah, she comes with a bunch of horse rustlers. Oh dear. Okay. So you didn't want to participate in that part of the conversation.
No, I didn't.
So let's talk about
Because he's too...
contracts, what you want to do when you buy a dog. Look, you're buying a dog from somebody, you've never met them before, you don't know them from Adam. It is a prime opportunity to get scammed. So just pay attention that if you can buy a dog that you can physically touch the dog and see it, it's much safer than having one shipped. If you're having one shipped, do some research on the people. Find out who else they've sold dogs to, and see, you know, call those people.
Check out the parents of the dog.
Well, that's something else. No, we haven't even talked about. That's right. Yeah. So the structure.
Find out the pedigree.
Yeah, look at the pedigree, look at the parents, and look and see what their structure is like. It gives you a good idea about how big.
About weight, because if you come across the daddy being 40 pounds and the mama's 28, you're gonna have a big old puppy.
And you may not be able to tell that by just looking at a puppy, because you don't have any reference point. So find out about the parents. I mean, if you've got nice parents, chances are you're going to have decent looking dogs. Yeah, not. I mean, you know, this doesn't always follow the rule, but most of the time it does, right? Yeah. So be careful about not getting scammed.
Oh, yes.
Check the people out. FaceTime them. Find out what the terms and conditions are. If you're putting a deposit down on the puppy, find out what the terms and conditions of the deposit are. You know, is there a method for you to, if you don't, you know, especially if you're buying a dog before it has been born. We don't do this, but a lot of people do. But they'll take deposits on puppies, so that's fine. It could be, you know, if there's a waiting list for puppies, absolutely. You know, you've got to get in line, but find out what the terms and conditions are. If they don't produce what you want, do they move that money forward to another breeding? Do they give you the money back? If so, what's the time frame? I mean, it's not fair for you as a buyer of a puppy from me to come back to me after 10 weeks and you decided you want the puppy, you put a deposit down, and after 10 weeks say, nah, we don't want the puppy. That's not going to happen.
We had one person said, I don't like the way the tail is. Yeah. After the puppy was 9 weeks old, and I was like...
So what I'm getting at here is that you've got to think in reasonable terms about... Yeah,
pretty red.
You've got to think in reasonable terms about, you know, what is reasonable and what isn't reasonable in terms of what you can expect the seller of the puppy to provide for you. But certainly, you know, what are the terms of the contract? If you don't like what you get, what's your recourse? You know, do you get a guarantee, and if so, how does that guarantee work? Those are things that you should be looking at.
Always do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework.
Cover yourself.
And do this homework before you basically put much money down, because, you know, you want to ask these questions ahead of time. Contracts, they're all there to sort things out when things go wrong. Most of the time things go great, the contract's completely irrelevant. But when you need the contract is the time when things go wrong. Are you going to get AKC paperwork for that?
Yeah. Oh my, that's like your blue one.
It's a 73.
Ooh.
It's pretty, isn't it? What are we talking about contracts?
We saw cars, classic cars being hauled.
Yeah, we've got very like vets. Okay, now.
We talked about contracts. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you got.
How long was your video?
It's pretty long, but I want to finish this last bit though. Yeah. Most people have dropped us off already.
Double check your contracts. See what the guarantees are.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, AKC. Yeah. look, if you're going to breed this dog, you absolutely want to have full AKC rights on the dog.
yeah.
So, number one, is it an AKC registered dog? And number two, are you going to get full
Both
rights?
parents need to be AKC.
Yeah, to get an AKC dog, okay. Then, all right, just before we finish up, now we're going to briefly talk about importing dogs from other places, like overseas, obviously.
Right now, with everything closing up, I don't know how that is.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. So
I know it's expensive.
the reason that you're going to go buy a dog from overseas is either because you can't find that dog here or you're getting it for less money. The problem right now is the less money part. Shipping is difficult. It's expensive, and you have to wait quite a while to get dogs. So what I'm going to say is just be aware of the fact that you want to ask all the right questions about getting dogs. Because I can tell you, we've had dogs that we bought just as COVID was starting out, and it's taken a long time to get those dogs here.
Yeah.
And then
my dogs were right at 7 months old.
Yes, exactly. So there's that part too. And then you've got to also find out about the registration of those dogs to make sure that you can, just because somebody says, oh yeah, you can get it registered in America, you better make sure that you know what you're talking about. You go to the AKC site, you can find out what those dogs are registered as. You're probably going to have an export pedigree. If you can get the person to provide you an export pedigree, you'll save yourself a lot of running around and a few $100s worth of expense.
Of course, over here in the States, pricing of shipping puppies went up too during COVID. So it's not just the UK
How are they
up.
going to ship the puppy?
Right.
So puppies for us, they're always shipped with nanny in the cabin with the other human beings.
Yeah.
It's a much less stressful way. Puppies, in fact, have no stress that way. But is it $500, $550 to get that done? Cargo.
That's about average price.
Yeah, cargo. We don't do cargo, but cargo is an option, and it depends on the time of the year and the heat and all those kind of things as to whether.
Certain airlines.
And it's definitely riskier to do cargo, right? If you're importing dogs, be aware of custom duties and how you're going to handle it. You may need a customs broker.
And sometimes you can buy a ticket cheaper than what the nanny's going to charge. Like some people get frequent flyer miles. Then, find out if your breeder can meet you to whatever airport you need to go to. Make sure you check with your airline which airline will let you fly in the cabin of the plane with your puppy. And you have to have that soft crate that is airline approved.
Has to go underneath the seat in front of the theater.
During takeoff.
And you've got to have the right
landing.
paperwork, so that's nothing else. Acclimation statements might be required. There's if you're
sometimes,
if you're going to go ship with one of the carriers like Delta Dash and places like that, we haven't done this a long time, but there was paperwork that you had to have in place. And if you went there to go send a dog off and you hadn't got the right paperwork, that dog was not getting on the plane.
Well, we don't do that anymore.
No, we don't do that anymore. But my point here is make sure that you've got all your T's crossed and I's dotted.
My nannies do such a good job.
Yeah. Okay, Carly, we've gone on. You've been rambling for 23 minutes now, haven't you?
Yeah, right. Me?
So look, there's 23 minutes worth of just us talking our heads off without being structured. There's quite a bit to this. So pay attention. We talk to so many people who've got scammed. It's really sad. They've put a few $1,000s down, that money's disappeared. So ask questions, and if you're not getting sensible answers, don't just blow it off because you're excited to get the dog. Make sure that you ask your sensible questions and that you're getting them answered in a reasonable manner. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this.
Check with us 1st of December and we can tell you who's pregnant.
Yes.
We've got 2 females.
Hopefully it's not Tammy.
That's funny. That's funny.
Okay, all right. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, My Breeder Supply for all the things that you need for raising beautiful puppies. And Love My Pups is
LoveMyPups.com.
is where our puppies come from.
LoveMyPups.com.
And subscribe to us. Bye, everybody.
Bye.